Gülümseyin.
Hello everyone, today Rashid, Togrul, Nadir and me Rasul will talk to you about the aggregate demand, which is one of the most essential parts of the macroeconomy. So let's go. First of all, I would like to emphasize that there are two kinds of demand, the traditional demand and the aggregate demand. These kinds of demands have a lot of similar sides, but in this video you will also see that there are a lot of differences between the aggregate demand and the traditional demand. First of all, let's see what's the traditional demand. When we say the traditional demand, we imagine the demand rate of any person, of maybe a group of persons or a household. That means using the traditional demand, we can see our demand towards any kind of item. But we cannot use this kind of demand for showing the whole condition of the country. First of all, let's give an example. Let's say that we buy some chocolates. In the first part, the price of the chocolates are really low, and in this condition, of course, we will desire to buy a lot of chocolates because they are really cheap. That means when the price is higher, our demand is. When the price is lower, our demand is higher. But let's see the second condition. Let's imagine that this time the price of chocolate rises. That means this time we will not desire to buy huge amounts of chocolates. That means when the prices are higher, our demand will be lower. So that's the demand in the microeconomic level. But in the macroeconomic level, things are different because this time there are a lot of let's say a lot of items produced within a country. Therefore, when we talk about the aggregate demand, we use not a certain item, but the GDP of a country. So there are a lot of factors which has a great impact on this matter. So before I culminating my speech, let me draw the curves of the aggregate demand and traditional demand. So that's all. Our next friends will talk about aggregate demands and the factors which has a great influence on them.
So guys, there is three major theories why the economists believe that there is a downward sloping aggregate demand curve. The first is called the Wells effect. Let me write this down. The Wells effect is just saying, and once again, it's a little non-intuitive. Because in my mind, when I start saying the price have gone down, I start saying the price have gone down, wages have gone down, or maybe profits have gone down, and then people will get less optimistic, the economy will shrink. That's not what we are saying in this chart right over here. All other things is equal. We were assuming over here only, so if we take this scenario right over here, we are assuming only price have gone down. Everything else in economy is equal. Employment has not changed, profit has not changed, people optimism has not changed. The only thing that change is people wake up one day and everything in the economy is half price when it was before. People have the same savings, they have same amount of money in their wallet. If that happens, all things equal, they say with the same amount of money that I have in my wallet, I can buy more, I feel wealthier. That is Wellesley effect. They will say, I will go and demand more goods and services because with what I have in my pocket, I can buy more things.
Before the second part, let's learn what's exactly the saving. First of all of us have some amounts of wage. Let's say in a certain month we get our wage, and our wage is 15 minutes. Of course, all of us have some demand, and in order to satisfy this demand, we should pay this some of this money to sellers. And the rest of money is our saving. But the economy is not really constant all the time. And let's imagine now the prices are higher. And this time we need to pay the sellers 5 minutes more money. So you see that when the prices are higher, our saving is less. We will need this concept in the next part of the video.
Hello again guys, now I'm going to tell you about second part, the second theory of the aggregate demand. This is related to interest rates. I would call it saving and interest rate effect. Interest rate effect, you can imagine if before this bar represented the total amount of money someone had in their pockets, and this is how much they need to spend on goods and services in order to have a nice, happy, productive life. These are originally what they were going to spend. Now all of a sudden, if things get a lot cheaper, they don't have to spend this much on goods and services. They could spend less on goods and services. Maybe if things got a lot cheaper, they could spend less on goods and services. Now they could spend maybe this amount of money on goods and services, and they could have to spend much more. Right over here, remember, all other things equal if everyone woke up tomorrow and things were just half priced. People will be able to spend less on the things they need, and they will be able to save a lot of money. We have seen before savings. When people save money, it just goes into the financial system. You save it, you put it into the bank, and it just gets lent out to other people. So when you have increase in savings, all other things equal, when prices go down, all other things equal, then savings go up, which means that the supply of money to be lent, supply of lenders or money to be lent, money lending goes up. And if you increase the supply of money, that can be lent, the price of the borrowing the money will go down. Another way to think about it, interest rates will go down. When interest rates go down, it becomes cheaper. So when you have to spend less interest, you borrow money and make investments. Borrow money, build a house, borrow money, build a factory, borrow money to whatever, buy inventory. Interest rates go down, that stimulates investments, which once again would cause the economy to expand. You will have to more goods and services being produced.
Okay guys, this is the last part of our video, and this part about the aggregate demand is just called the foreign exchange. The structure of why or the third justification, because economists like to have this downward sloping curve so that they can justify. And we'll see how aggregate supply and demand can cause business cycles. The third effect is essential. I'll call it foreign exchange effect. A foreign exchange effect based on the line of reasoning. So let's say a situation once again where prices went down. Based on their line of reasoning and justification, we said if prices go down, then interest rates go down because there is more money to be lent in that economy, in that currency. If interest rates go down, investors might say, I only get low interest in my country. Why don't I convert my money into other currencies where I can get high interest rates? So if interest rates go down, people convert out of the currency. So maybe before, if you're talking about America, and maybe the interest rates are really low in the US and interest rates are higher in the UK, maybe because prices didn't go down there as much. People say, I'm going to convert my money from dollars to pounds sterling. When they do that, they will essentially, because once again, if people are converting from dollars to pounds, that means it means that there is a larger supply of dollars and more demand for pounds. The price of the dollar relative to the pound will go down. Essentially, the dollar will weaken. The dollar will weaken related to other currencies. If the dollar weakens related to other currencies, this is a little confusing. Then American goods and services are going to appear to be cheaper to people in England. For example, if I offer to make a car in America for $10,000, maybe $10,000 before all of this happened translates into 5,000 pounds. But now the dollar has weakened. Now $10,000 is going to translate into only 4,000 pounds. Foreign consumers will say, wow, American cars just got cheaper. When we view it in our currency, more and more of them are going to want to buy American things, so America will export more. Once again, if there is more demand for American goods and services, the GDP will expand. This is related to low interest rates, driving people to take currency out or exchange out of the currency we are talking about, which will make that currency cheaper, which will make its goods and services cheaper too. To the rest of the world, which it will essentially once again make net exports increase. You really could just cut the chase and say if the price level are all of a sudden in US dollars just got cheaper. People say there's deals to be had in the US, and once again net exports will increase. Once again, when you have low price level, you could have GDP expanding. Obviously, if the prices were to increase, the opposite dynamic might occur. So this is the end of our videos, our topics for you, and thank you guys.
Bye guys.
See you later.
See you guys.